And we're so delighted to have the Finger Lakes Trio with us, violinist Sonya Stith Williams, cellist Heidi Hoffman, and pianist Rob Auler. Yes, they are the Finger Lakes Trio, and we are anxiously awaiting the Beethoven Triple Concerto, which it's kind of commonly known as, but the concerto for violin, cello, and piano. And it's really important to note that it's such a thrill and a pleasure to be able to perform this piece, such a signature piece in the Beethoven repertoire, in his 250th year, and under these extenuating circumstances, to say the least. So Heidi, tell us a little bit about how this came about.
Rob and Sonya and I have been playing as a trio for about 3 years now. And 2 years into it, Rob brought up the idea of doing this concerto with Symphoria. And I will say I was by far the more reluctant party of the three, because the cello part is, I know I've used this word a lot to describe this in various interviews, but it's a little bit terrifying because it's super high.
It's like a second violin part.
Yes, it is.
Right? Yeah,
it really is. So I've avoided it for many years, but they talked me into it. And I have to say, I'm really glad we're doing it. I'm very excited to be doing it. I feel very lucky to be able to do it with them. There's no one else I think I would want to do it with. And also, you know, Symphoria, who we've Sonya and I have been a part of for many years, and Rob is now too. And so it's a thrilling thing to look forward to.
And Sonya, what's your perspective of being able to be out front with the orchestra in a solo capacity? It's got to be a thrill with your colleagues and friends behind us. I know we're going to be all in, protective casings, as it may be, but it's still a thrill nonetheless to see you out there.
It is, and as Heidi was saying, our trio has so much fun together. We rehearse. Our rehearsals are fun, to find a group that you really mesh with, and it doesn't feel, or it feels really enjoyable every time we play. And then to be in front of our orchestra, which, it's our friends, besides being our colleagues. We've been friends with many of these people for so many years. It's a huge honor, and really the culmination of Finger Lakes Trio's history so far.
And speaking of rehearsal, Rob, you were mentioning just before we started talking about how much of a challenge it is just to physically be able to rehearse a piece, especially a piece of this challenging nature.
It has been between the COVID protocols in terms of universities and who they can host. And then the fact that I live in Oswego and Sonya is Baldwinsville, and then Heidi is Ithaca, we really found an amazing solution with a terrific Symphoria supporter. Rose Weaver has an incredible grand piano in her living room. She's graciously opened her doors. I want to say 2 or maybe even 3 rehearsals there, but just that kind of central point to be able to meet up and really get some great work done, go our separate ways, but just even things like getting together to rehearse have proven to be unbelievably logistically tough to pull off with all the COVID stuff going on.
I thought for a second there, Rob, you were going to say the Carrier Dome was the only logical place that we could all get together for you guys, but wouldn't that be a luxury at these days? But so all the protocols aside, the music itself is really at the focus of this performance. And I've been, obviously I'm wearing a different hat these days with this performance. Larry Lowe was gracious enough to step in for my Pops concert, so he rotated out of this one, and I was able to jump in myself, and happy to be able to come and be a part of this. The interesting part of it is really learning this music. We studied Beethoven in music school, and that's kind of my last real attachment to this music, but you guys are now living it and really breathing with it. So and to me, the melodies are some of the most fantastic things that jump off the page into the listener. Heidi, how do you feel about that?
Well, yeah, I think the fact is, I think the audience will notice that the cello oftentimes is the instrument leading. So I'm the one that usually has to present it the first time around. And then Sonya a lot of times comes in, and then I'm accompanying her. But yeah, it's a wonderful piece. It has everything that a piano trio has in it, which is a lot of accompanimental stuff, soaring melodies, intertwining parts, and then to have the orchestra also included in that, situation is, it makes it extra exciting. There's a lot of things to be listening to.
It feels like a true dialogue, right, between the orchestra and the trio. And the trio has got such a dynamic versatility, right? Because you can function, and there are many moments in this where we'll hear just the three of you performing. And that's when I'll take a coffee break, and then I'll come back in, when the orchestra comes in. But Sonya, how do you feel about that dialogue? And obviously you're, like Heidi said, you're following a lot of what the cello is you're picking up what the cello is putting down, so to say.
It's so much fun, and we kind of alluded to it a minute ago. The way Beethoven wrote this, the way the cello and I interact is such an interesting range that we have together. And so we'll be playing very similar rhythmic material at the same time in a very close range. And it's super interesting and not that usual, I would say. So we played a number of trios together, and it's just different in that way. And what's also interesting is, how does Beethoven take, trio material and make it a concerto?
Yeah.
And it's miraculous how he takes something simple like an arpeggio, and it's awesome. I mean, it's really like, zips out of nowhere, and I am so amazed at how Beethoven does that, adding on those elements of concerto, trio, chamber music, orchestral accompaniment, and his symphonies are the best. And so to have that depth of his orchestral writing behind us it's so exciting.
And Rob, for you as pianist in this, you're wearing a couple different hats, right? You're a soloist in the proper concerto sense, but you're also an accompanist, right? When the trio is playing on its own, you almost have to take a little bit of a backseat at times to provide that harmonic, because you have, the harmony aspect of it, whereas it's a single line for the most part for the cello and violin. How do you approach that as a performer?
It's incredible how much diversity there is in terms of the roles of the different hats that I wear. Sometimes the cello and the violin will be in thirds together, let's say, and I'm doing absolutely nothing. It's tacit for the piano for 12 measures. Sometimes they're the feature, but yeah, I'm kind of playing, pads of chords. Sometimes it is a piano solo, and they're doing, the same thing that I did previously. They're laying out while the piano takes the lead. Sometimes the orchestral accompaniment is with them. What's really remarkable, there are times that there's triple and sometimes even quadruple counterpoint between piano hand 1, piano hand 2, cello, and violin. So the different permutations of just possibilities, counterpoints, and call and response, and it's stunning. And just the different roles all three of us wear.
Well, in the concerts that we normally have, you and I collaborate on, the Pops concerts, you get to kind of make up some notes along the way, whether it be improvisation or comping behind some jazz solos or what it may be. This is a little bit different for you in terms of being so precise and how everything kind of fits together along those lines. I don't know about you, but I'm thrilled to be able to share the stage with you guys, and the fact that we get to do this wonderful music on this 250th occasion. And we're so thankful to the folks at Inspiration Hall, because I know they've, and our whole staff here at Symphoria, to be able to set up such a complicated piece for us and to be able to perform it. And we're almost at Thanksgiving, so a lot to be thankful for along those lines. So I can't wait to get at it. I know we have some limited rehearsal time, but it's, you guys are pros, and I've adored you guys from on the stage and off the stage. So it's just going to be a real thrill to be all together in this and just have some fun, along the way. So Finger Lakes Trio, thank you for spending a little time with us, giving us some how the sausage is made bit with the Beethoven Concerto, and we're certainly looking forward to the performance in the second half. So.